In all her travels, Catherine has never sent us a postcard.
She keeps them.
She keeps them?
Yes, she keeps them.
Well, if she keeps them, maybe she'd be willing to come up and tell us why. Ladies and gentlemen, Catherine Richards.
Good afternoon. So I'd like to talk to you today about collecting Lewis Carroll postcards, and my slides will show items from our collection. But before giving some pointers to new collectors, I want to give an historical overview, starting with a very brief look at the history of the postal system in Lewis Carroll's lifetime. In 1840, when Lewis Carroll was 8 years old, came the stamp, and you now paid a standard fee of 1 penny in advance to have your letter delivered, and the stamp was proof of payment. By the time Lewis Carroll was living in Christchurch, he had access to a very fast and efficient postal service. So this is one of his many letters, and you can see the penny red stamp on the envelope. A penny was still quite a lot of money, especially if you wrote as many letters as Lewis Carroll. So in 1870 came the postcard. This was cheaper, only half a penny. So this early postcard to Edith Miller has a front with the address and a pre-printed stamp. It states clearly, the address only to be written on this side. And the message is on the back. It had to be short and it could not be private, but perfect for sending your friends a new logic puzzle. So these early postcards were rather dull. What's the use of a postcard without a picture? These first appeared in the 1890s, but in the UK, picture postcards only really took off after Queen Victoria died in 1901. At first, there were strict regulations. The British Post Office continued to stipulate one side for the address and nothing else, and one side for the picture. If you wanted to send a message, it had to be squeezed onto the picture side, which was actually the back of the card. This one is Ellerline Terrace from the Savile Clark Alice, Christmas 1900. And the message, you owe me 2 postcards. Message, you owe me 2 postcards now. In 1902, an Act of Parliament permitted handwritten messages on the address side. So postcards were printed with that side split into 2, and you were allowed to write a 5-word message. But soon, you could write as much as you could squeeze into the space. This space, as well as the back, may now be used for communication. Post Office regulation. The address only to be written here. The first 2 decades of the 20th century has become known as the golden age of the picture postcard. Printing was easy, and postcards were suitable for quick correspondence at a time when few people had telephones, and they appealed to people who liked collecting and celebrity. Actresses were popular subjects, and these show Maidy Andrews, Ivy Sawyer and Cora Goffin, all Savile Clark Alices. There was a relative decline in the popularity of the postcard after the war, although there are some nice examples of Alice from the 1920s, including Kay Nixon's Alice and Charles Folkard's Songs from Alice, and both of these were published in a set of 6. And the steady stream of theatrical Alices continued, including Courage and Lewis, Ursula Hanray, and Beryl Lag. There seems to be the beginnings of a resurgence in the 1950s and 60s, perhaps driven by increased travel and tourism. We see a lot of children's amusement parks. Here we have Children's Fairyland in Oakland, California, Storybook Land in New Jersey, and the Enchanted Forest, Ellicott City in Maryland. And for the grown-ups, there was the Weeki Wachee version, Alice in Waterland. And for Wendy and Matt, Disneyland. And nowadays it has never been easier to produce and sell your own postcard. And over 100 years later, we're still obsessed with celebrity and with collecting. It's impossible to make a comprehensive checklist, but this just makes it more interesting. Postcards are relatively cheap and there are new ones published all the time. Fête du Citron 2003. Everything made with oranges and lemons. So this really is a mad tea party. And these are new Japanese and Russian cards from 2015. So, do I have any tips for the budding collector? Be proactive. If you know of something with an Alice connection, they may well be a postcard. And it's not just newly published cards that are out there, waiting to be discovered by the obsessive collector. Last October in New York, Edward Giuliano showed us some film clips, including the Wonder Bakery at the New York World's Fair 1939. I make no apology for showing it again.
Heaven, how near, how far, the darkest night would shine if you would come to me soon. Until you will, how still my heart, how high.
Next step, buy the postcard. So you can lost the pointer. Where's it gone? Anyway, you can just about see the Wonderland characters under the title Wonder Bakery. And of course, we in London cannot be outdone. So in 1951, we had the Festival of Britain. So at the Festival of Britain, we had the Lion and the Unicorn Pavilion on London's South Bank and the Guinness Clock at Battersea Fun Fair. Visitors to the pavilion were greeted by the Lion and the Unicorn. As they passed through, they also met the White Knight on his horse and saw Alice passing through the looking glass.
Something Britain devised half, that's us, or some of us, for we are more than that. We are the Lion and the Unicorn. The lion our strength, the unicorn our imagination. We smile at our follies and our most profound beliefs, such as tradition, such as peace, such as justice. A belief in the equal value of the nobler matters of patriotism, and in the White Knight of Lewis Carroll, and in the works of Mr. Lear, the Long-Nosed Lady, and Alice.
And of course, if you look, there are postcards. So here's the Lion and the Unicorn Pavilion on South Bank. The Guinness Clock proved a big attraction. Every 15 minutes, it went through a 4.5-minute routine, featuring well-known characters from the advertisements. So you can see the Guinness toucan at the bottom. Not working this. Anyway, it's down at the bottom. and you can see the hatter over on the left. For some reason they've given him a fishing rod. But the festival clock proved so popular that 8 travelling versions were produced. This one was at Morecambe Bay. And here are the postcards. The original at Battersea, and then a touring clock from the seaside town of Great Yarmouth. Sometimes, however, it's the other way around. This postcard This postcard came first, but when the record player came up for sale, well, I just had to buy it. Always look at the back of a postcard. So in some, the design carries over onto the reverse. This postcard of Father William has a special poem for the recipient. Father William sends greetings and hopes you're better. He gives you his thanks for your nice little letter. There's no room for more, so this is the end. But yet you see he remains your affectionate friend. And this is clearly a wartime postcard with its quotation from Churchill. This is a time for everyone to stand together and hold firm. This one has been published and sent by the recipient of the artwork, Jean Stork. You can see the dedication on the picture and the publisher and signature on the back. And this is an amateur all-boys production from 1907. The back is annotated with the name of the star, who later fought in the First World War. Lieutenant Harold Rigg, 1918, Indian Army. Decide on your limits. What makes a postcard an Alice postcard? It's difficult to say for sure who these people are, but the back tells us they are Alice in Wonderland characters. And the one in the beard is old Father William. Never mind that he appears to be younger than the young man. This is the Jabberwock Beach Club in Antigua. Just a name? Oh no, look at the dance floor with Tenniel's Jabberwock. Jabberwock Plain? But Lewis Carroll did invent the character. This Cheshire Cat with its quote from Wonderland is obviously an Alice card. But what about these Cheshire Cats? Sometimes the caption is Alice in Wonderland, but the image bears no resemblance. Bonzo in a lingerie drawer, but the caption says Alice in Wonderland, so into the collection it goes. But what about these? Here is Mary Startome in the tea party scene with a caption, definitely an Alice card. Here she is wearing the same dress with a caption, so yes. Here she is in furs. The caption says this is Alice, although I don't remember this scene either. But here is the same image, same number, without the caption. Is this an Alice card? It's in our collection. I do draw the line sometimes. At the last New York meeting, I learned that Hello Kitty is based on Alice's Cat Dinah, but I'm not going to collect every Hello Kitty postcard. This series will do. But sometimes, I just buy it anyway. Which little girl other than Alice would carry a pig? As you can see, this is a very early card with the message on the picture side, with love from Gertie. And who but the White Rabbit carries a pocket watch? So how do we bring this all together? From the early 1900s, picture postcards have been produced in extraordinary numbers and variety. Every subject has been on a postcard. Commercial records are very limited, and amateur records non-existent. Many postcards are undated, and often there are no details of the publisher. So there is no clear record of what there is, and many may not have survived. We don't know the extent of what's out there, and it's getting hard to remember what we've got. So I'm in the process of cataloguing all our postcards, and the catalogue is now available online. Obviously it's incomplete and always will be, but it provides me with a personal checklist, especially when cards vary only in small details. I've already shown you this one, but the only way to know if we have a particular version of the Llandudno White Rabbit is to check the catalogue. Now I must point out that this dedication to detail is not excessive. We saw this collection of the Statue of Liberty at the City Reliquary in New York last year. Maybe I shall stop at 200 White Rabbits. As we scan in more and more images, our catalogue is also becoming a Lewis Carroll picture library. Picture postcards are a good way of finding images that relate to Dodson's lifetime. Topographical cards from the early 1900s will give us an idea of how places looked when Lewis Carroll was alive. So here we see Christchurch and St Aldate's in Oxford. And this is Fairyland in Guildford, where where he went walking with Arthur Hughes. Postcards give us pictures of his friends. Here are the Bowman sisters, Empsey, Isa, Nellie and Maggie, and you can see a similar card here in the exhibition at the Clarice Smith Performing Arts Centre. And postcards show us paintings that he saw. He was pretty critical of this one by Millet, recording in his diary, 1st of July 1857. Went with Skeffington and Wilfrid to the Royal Academy exhibition. Many fair pictures, none I think remarkable, except perhaps Millet's two, which were remarkably ugly. 3 people on a horse, but so much smaller than the average human stature as to be hardly any load at all. An additional gigantic effect is given to the animal by its being partly out of the picture. The girl's face is earnest but coarse, and her eyes are naturally large. The knight is good, though with an expression like an honest old gardener, and the face of the boy behind is lovely and wooden to a degree. I wonder what he would have thought of these contemporary pieces, exhibited at the Museum of Oxford for Alice's Day 2014. Sometimes it's enough just to have the postcard. Our catalogue clearly is a work in progress. However, we are offering everyone attending this spring meeting special access. Our catalogue is on our website, lewiscarrollresources.net, and you may log in for extended access with a username and password. Thank you.